So we're just seeing massive changes across the job market. We're seeing, especially in the tech industry, but tech drives just about everything here in the States. We're seeing about 75,000 US jobs, tech jobs, that were laid off over the past 6 months, which is a 35% increase from layoffs last year. And there's a lot of different factors that are impacting this, but something that's really impacted me personally as someone who runs a marketing agency is seeing how easy it is to develop SaaS products and services. I'll talk about that a little bit later in this video, but the reality is AI agents are transforming the way that coders work. Just over the weekend, I was building out this SaaS app, essentially to help kids become better readers. It uses AI to give points based on answers to book reports, gives bonuses. It grades the kids on the way that they read, their reading comprehension, their writing, their summaries, concepts, grammar. It grades all of it automatically. So the kids can take a picture of their book report after they read a section, submit it. So anyways, I'm putting together this app. I have no coding experience. Again, I run a marketing agency, and I am using this app called Replit to build out this software. And I take my kids out. We're walking around and taking the dog for a walk. And I tell my daughter, did you know that I'm coding right now? I'm actually building a SaaS app right now. While we are walking the dog, I'm coding. And that is kind of the power. You no longer need to be in front of your computer in a dark, dank room. You could be coding right now with zero experience. And that's kind of the power of what we're seeing with these AI agents. And this is being just taking place all over the industry. So, I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of jobs that are being laid off. But I think what's interesting is that's actually bringing up a lot of new opportunities. There's a lot of new opportunities that rise out of this. So, for example, in Q1 of 2025, the US posted over 35,000 AI-related jobs, which is a 25% year-over-year increase from 2024. So essentially what that says is you're aware of it, I'm aware of it. AI is taking over the marketplace and presenting a lot of new opportunities. And what do employers want? They want to hire these people that are skilled in these new services, softwares, and techniques. I mean, quite frankly, it's one of the first things that I look for. I was hiring someone for a research position at my firm recently, and I said, here's what I need. I need you to do research on e-com and what's happening in the e-com world. And I got this a few days later. I got a 4-page report, and I paid the guy $500 for the work. I was like, okay, there were a few pieces of stats, a few pieces of data, but as I was like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I paying this guy to do research? And as I was doing research for this show here today, you know what I did? I went to Grok and I used the deep search function, and I just prompted it. What are the trends? What are we seeing in 2025? What are the future prospects? Where are things going? And it's just unbelievable. I was able to get back tons of data. I take back all this data, all those stats from this deep research, which, by the way, the deep research that I've been able to get there by using that simple deep search function within Grok was heads and tails better than what this guy was able to do for $500. I was able to get it for free using Grok. It's unbelievable. You know, I'm currently working on an agent to do all of that automatically. So every day it's going to pull up all the latest news, all the latest research, send it over to chatgpt, and chatgpt can break down a summary of what's actually happening, what's relevant, what you need to know in the industry. So these AI agents, these AI opportunities are so impactful. And again, I hire like a graphic designer, a video editor. One of the first questions I ask is, are you using AI and how are you using it? And if their answer is, well, I'm kind of playing with it, I can't hire you. The reality is if you're not using AI, you're just not really hireable. Now, that said, I was talking to a friend of mine who exited his marketing agency for about $10 million a few years ago. And he's doing all sorts of different projects right now. And he said, Mark, what I'm looking at is blue collar work. I want to build out firms and solutions for people that work with their hands, And I think that's pretty wise because, robots are coming. The Tesla robots are coming. Elon suspects that you're going to be able to have a $30,000 humanoid robot in your home, cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, taking out the dog within the next couple of years, which sign me up, by the way. I'm all in for that. I have seen iRobot with Will Smith, but I'm all in for that. Regardless, I think that these tools are just unprecedented. So anyway, he's building out this blue collar business where he's going to be able to supply electricians, contractors, plumbers, roofers, all these different niches to people that need them. And real estate, a big thing too. My boy Travis Chambers sold his marketing agency for a lot of money a few years ago, and now he's all in on in-person experiences. He's building this Outpost X experience, doing some really cool stuff with AI there too. So let me give you an example. Outpost X is kind of like a destination Airbnb. When you step on set, it's out in the middle of the desert. There was nothing there. Kind of reminds me of like what Walt Disney was doing. But while you're driving out there, he has a podcast that you can listen to that's an AI narrator. He uses 11 labs to generate the voice. And so now you feel like you're getting an experience. And when you get there, they have an FAQ chatbot that is branded towards someone that makes you feel like you're on this out-of-world experience. And not only does it, and the chatbot's been trained on the lore and the history of Outpost X. So when you're there, it's not just going to say, oh, pick up your gift bag at the gift shop or whatever. It's going to be like, oh, you must travel to the inner workings of Outpost X, into the humble blah, 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 blah. And anyway, it goes on. It's talking about lore. It has its own special name. And the whole FAQ bot is branded all using AI. And it's using AI voice too. Again, 11 Labs is an AI voice generator. And it's just a very unique way of implementing AI into his business. And there's already AI for voice dialers and stuff like that. But I think it's really interesting the way that he's implementing AI to develop a deeper experience, because people are going to look for these in-person experiences. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. All right, what else we got? So we talked about the year-over-year increase in tech. I think that according to IBM, the biggest opportunities right now are in C++, Python, TensorFlow, a lot of these coding networks. And while I think this is important, obviously, I mean, the data is there. Coding is interesting to me because as AI gets better at coding, your need to understand coding in a more technical form becomes less important because AI is going to be able to do it. What is going to be important is understanding how all the pieces flow together. Are you able to put the pieces of the puzzle together? I think that's where it's all going to work. And I was talking to my friend John Cheney about this. It's not necessarily about being, the new job market is not necessarily about being an expert in one thing. It's going to be, the generalists are the ones who are going to be rewarded because you're going to be great, you're going to be good at everything, you're going to be competent in everything, but you're going to be able to use AI experts, these AI expert tools to level up and get the best advice on the market, whether it's financial, marketing, HR, legal. And the key here is, as a generalist, as you are good at something, you're going to be able to leverage the smell test to be able to understand, okay, this doesn't smell right. I need to kind of adjust accordingly. So that's a big shift because historically the way that you develop wealth, the way that you develop yourself is you go through a lot of school, you go through internships, you get tons and tons of real world experience, and then you're the best of the best in your specific field 30 to 40 years down the road. But that's not really the world we're going to be living in. We're going to be living in a world where you're your own kind of personal household CEO. And I think that's just, again, going to be an interesting shift in the market. So again, another IBM study, which I think is really interesting, is the way that AI-enabled workflows are going to impact us. So historically, up to now, we've seen a huge increase. So about 3% of workflows are AI-enabled now, and the expectation is that 25% of workflows will be AI-enabled by the end of the year. And by the way, 70% of executives do see this AI agentic technology as being absolutely crucial and critical to success. So again, we're just seeing the importance of AI workflows in the market, and it's not going to stop. So you might say, okay, it's great. I use ChatGPT for research. I've given you an example of using Grok for deep research. But that's not exactly where it ends. The AI agent is kind of like you. You've told the AI agent what to do, and it goes out and does it. And I talked about the importance of being a generalist, but it's also about the importance of being clear and leading and giving clear directions. It's kind of interesting to me. Everyone is on the hunt for the perfect prompt to get the perfect response, and I agree that that's important. Prompting is important. You get my entire prompt guide completely free at aiupdate.ai. I'm constantly learning and adding at aiupdate.ai, so you can check that out. But it's not necessarily about getting the perfect prompt. It's about being as clear and concise and learning how to communicate with these AI softwares. And you can think about it this way. If you were to ask one of your team members to execute something, to do something, execute a task, like again, deep research, or email this person about a problem, or create an FAQ spreadsheet, or develop a marketing funnel. The key to getting the best result is to be as clear as possible. The more clear, the more specific you are, the better the result you're going to get. And that's the way that I think about prompting. I think about prompting as, how clear can I be? How concise can I be? What are the key terms that I need to focus on in order to get the best response possible? And that's really what it comes down to. Now, there's certain words that are going to give you a better result. There's certain prompts that are going to give you a better result. And, there's a bit of trial and error in doing that. That being said, it's about being clear, it's about being concise. And as you're able to come up with very specific terms and workflows, well, what you're able to do then, and this comes back to the AI agent topic, is explain to an AI bot or multiple bots what you exactly need done. And, there's several really powerful tools for this. We talked about Replit a little bit. Manus is another one. So there's a bunch of AI agents, but essentially what that AI agent is going to do is you're going to give it a task, and it's going to execute the task and come back to you with the result. I recently watched a video with Stephen Bartlett from Diary of a CEO, and he had these, few tech guys on. And to start off, he said, hey, over the weekend, I started playing with these AI agents, and I was using this AI agent that orders food, pays the food, and delivers it to my location. And that's kind of an example. So for example, you might say to your assistant, hey assistant, I want 3 Starbucks coffees, order them from the closest Starbucks, and want them delivered to me at this time. And what it'll do is it'll do exactly that. Just your AI agent will serve as your assistant. It'll go to Starbucks or go to DoorDash, go to Uber Eats. It'll order the food. It'll give the exact, it knows what you want. So you tell, again, this is where specificity can come into play, but you tell exactly what you want. It'll order it, and it'll pay the tip, and then it'll deliver it right to you without ever actually speaking or communicating with a human. And this is what Stephen Bartlett kind of showcased in the first 10 minutes of this podcast episode. So that's really eye-opening when you see it. And then you start to think about, well, how can I execute this in my business? And this is why you hear people saying that the next billion-dollar business is going to be a one-man organization with all these AI agents. And so we see that executives are saying that this is important, that they realize the importance because they've just heard what, they know what we just talked about here. And by the way, if you want to keep up on the latest stuff, this is the time to hit subscribe so I can keep you updated so you don't feel like you're drinking from a fire hose, but you're actually getting some perspective. on what the market looks like. But what's interesting to me, and what I think that most people don't understand, is that 61% of CEOs are implementing AI agents because they understand how important this is. No matter where you're at on the scale, on the hierarchy scale, if you want to be competitive in the job market like we saw, you need to be proficient in AI. If you want to be an effective CEO, you need to be using AI agents. And I think of myself, and I think everybody frankly, I think everybody needs to be thinking of themselves as a CEO and think about all the AI agents and all the AI tools that are going to empower you to be the best CEO possible. And I think that's an interesting mindset shift. And we'll see where the world goes, but you can clearly see that the people that are winning and thinking are using AI agents to become much more efficient. You know, we're talking about 85% of CEOs are expecting that this AI is going to deliver massive ROI by the end of 2027. I would expect sooner, which is why you're seeing these layoffs. And one of the challenges that we're also seeing with these layoffs is that there are some quality control issues, and I think that's where you want your AI agents to have the right bench check marks in place. So you might have an AI agent just continuously fulfill a task, and then once it gets to a certain point in the task, that's when you or your assistant or your manager reviews, approves, and moves on to the next step. And again, the quality control is only getting better. The hallucinations that you're seeing in AI are only being reduced more and more. So it's just a very interesting time to be alive because the opportunities are just so tremendous. And this AI market is not stopping. It's not going. Don't consider this financial advice, but the big key for AI, when we're going to really see the massive gains, is when the energy just becomes cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, because that's the big one. You need lots of energy, you need lots of data centers, and you need lots of cooling because that energy is hot. These GPUs get really hot, so you need cooling. So if you're looking for interesting startups to invest in, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm looking for companies that specialize in highly efficient energy, cooling, GPU development. There's a reason why NVIDIA is one of the largest companies in the world, $1 billion valuation plus. And that's because they're developing these chips. So big storylines here are layoffs are coming, but as you see those layoffs, more opportunities are going to pop up. And the better you are with AI, you need to be able to put AI into your LinkedIn bio, and when people think about you, you want them to think, okay, this guy is on the cutting edge. He's watching the right YouTube shows. He's listening to the right things. He's staying abreast of what's going on in the market. So that's what I would challenge you to do is don't be scared. I was talking to a friend at a party, and I'll close with this. I was speaking to a friend at a party the other day. He said, Mark, I'm scared of AI. So much is happening. I don't know what to do. And I said, well, listen, I'm thinking about putting on a workshop. When it happens, I'll let you know. And you'll walk out of there with a pretty good understanding of how the architecture of this stuff works. Not architecture like software engineering and coding, but understanding that, like, okay, I have this problem. These are the tools that are helpful. I have, how do I connect these tools together? What are the questions I should be asking? Just kind of giving yourself the core foundation. He goes, oh, okay, no, that sounds great, but I'm just really busy right now, and I've got this going on and that going on. And I'm like, and I asked him point blank, I said, is there ever a time where you're not going to be busy? And he thought about it, and he's like, yeah, you know what, you're right. I'm always going to be busy. And that's the fact. You're always going to be busy, but it's the after hours entrepreneurs, it's the people that are willing to put in the extra time now to keep up and to understand what's actually happening, that I think are going to really thrive. So that's what I would encourage you to do. Just stay up to date, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Go over to aiupdate.ai to stay updated. But don't get so caught up. And one more quick thing as I riff here and as I'm about to get back to my computer. One more quick thing is that one of the fears that he expressed, and I think that people have, is there's so many new tools coming out all the time. What if I spend all my time learning one tool and then another tool comes out and all my knowledge becomes irrelevant? That's not going to happen. And I actually had this fear too. But what's going to end up happening is all the information and all the practice that you've had on one tool is going to be easily transferred to the next tool, A. And B, a best practice now is to start building out your own instruction logs. So for example, I have a Google Doc, a Cloud Doc in one of my, in my Google Cloud, and I have many folders, and it basically stores all the prompts, all the information that the AI needs to know about my client's business, about my business, interesting industry statistics, trends, videos, images, transcripts, audio. I'm compiling all this stuff. And why is that important? Because if I decide that, Claude just came out with a big update, Perplexity came out with a big update, Grok came out with a big update, there's another big update, what I'm able to do is I'm able to take all of those documents, all of those training instructions, and upload them into that new large language model, that new LLM, and I'm able to train it much more quickly and much more efficiently than other people will be able to. And that's going to be a competitive advantage. So start building out your database of instructions, standard operating procedures, etc., so that you're able to take advantage when the next big thing comes, the next big thing happens. Start putting together databases or spreadsheets with the top tools in your market, the top tools in your industry. And again, by having this in one place, it's gonna enable you, it's gonna empower you to be able to train models more quickly, connect agents more quickly, and so on and so forth. This is the time, guys. This is the time. If you're not paying attention now, it's gonna get really tough. So that's it. I would say that there's a massive opportunity if you take advantage. And listen, love you. Stay awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, peace.